The next thing I'm going to pull out and have you look at is the packet that's titled Introduction to Clinical Experience. We'll go through this together. So in the first part, what we were going to do is talk about where everybody's at and how it's going, but we'll go start that next week. So on the first day or first week, these were the things that I asked your preceptors to review with you, or the senior you're working with to review with you. So hopefully you got an orientation to the facility that you're at. Then they should have talked about expectations as far as what your role is at practice, games, clinic, or in the athletic training room. And here's some examples of things that I've asked them to review. What's the best time to review your performance? Best time for you to ask questions? What your preceptor's policy is about cell phones? What you should do with your downtime, and if there's an hierarchy in regards to evaluation and rehab planning. For example, if you work with me in volleyball, I ask that the juniors all do the first histories of a new injury and go as far as they can, and then they pass that off to the senior who completes the evaluation, who then just reports that to me. That's the ideal hierarchy. So if you haven't had your preceptors address this, or the senior that you're working with address this, it would be a good thing to ask them some of these specific questions. I've asked them also to review the goals form. So in your packet, scroll through. Let's see, there should be this form. I want you to find that now. It's the BU Clinical Experience Goals form. And this is the form that you're going to fill out now. So as I go through this, you may want to stop and pause it to complete this. It is due next week at this time. So filling in the top part, this is HAS 335, and you're in the Fall 1 rotation. I'd like you to list your top 3 strengths and your top 3 weaknesses. 3 goals that you would like to achieve during this clinical experience. I want your goals to be really specific. They should be measurable, they should be achievable, result-focused, and time-bound. So an example might be that you're able to tape an ankle in less than 2 minutes with no wrinkles during a football rotation by maybe September 15th, something like that. That's a specific goal. It's measurable. You're doing it under 10 minutes and there's no wrinkles. It's achievable. It's certainly results focused. It's something that needs to be done in that rotation, and it's time bound because you put a time on it. So 3 goals, make them real specific so that we can see if you achieve them at the end of this rotation. Next one is write out your schedule for your clinical hours during this rotation. This can be in general. For example, you may say, I'm expected to be at practice an hour before practice time, and then at least a half an hour after practice time, and to attend all games during my rotation. Or if you're at a clinic, in general, what your hours are. You want to make sure it's very clear between you and your preceptor as to when you will be at your rotation. During this clinical experience, you'll complete specific skills for your preceptor to assess. Below, write the skills and the date in which you'd like to complete the skills. At this point, I'm going to have you just put on here to be determined, because we have some taping stuff that needs to be videotaped before September 15th that I'm going to review, and then we'll get into these skills and we'll fill out this portion. But in this part, just put to be determined. All right, this is very important that you do it this next week. You will complete the following on the first day. However, we're actually past that, obviously. Preceptors will be initialing this line prior to the activity. So there's 4 things that they need to initial that you need to do. The first one is to read the preceptor guidelines and abide by those guidelines. These guidelines are in your packet. So you should be able to find these. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Next page is preceptor guidelines. Read through these. You should understand what direct supervision is. You should read through these as far as your expectations and the expectations of the preceptor. I've asked the preceptors to quiz you on this before they initial this line. The next one is that you read the emergency action plan for all venues of your facility. Know where they are and understand what to do in case of an emergency at every venue where you will complete a clinical hours. So, for those of you that are on campus, there is an institutional emergency action plan, which is a colored placard that is posted in the training room. They're in the hallways, they're in the gym, they are in hopefully the locker room out at the soccer fields. There should be one. This tells you what to do in case of a fire or a tornado or a bomb threat. This is for your own safety, and so you should know those. Read through that placard, understand what to do in case of those situations. Again, your preceptor should quiz you on those. The other one is an injured athlete emergency action plan. So you need to know what to do if you have an injured athlete, what your responsibility is. There is a packet on the bulletin board in the athletic training room that has all the emergency action plans. You also should have access to the policies and procedures manual for athletic training, the electronic copy. It's in there. You also may have a copy in your athletic training kit. If not, probably be a good idea to ask your preceptor to make one and put it in the training kit so that you have it there. Again, preceptors should be quizzing you on that, and then they can initial this line. The bloodborne pathogen policy for your facility, know where it's at. Be able to find the bloodborne pathogen barriers such as red bags and gloves. You should have access to a sanitation station, which would be sink and soap and waterless sanitizer at every venue. So you need to be able to wash your hands in the event that there is a bloodborne accident potential. So whether you're at the soccer field or the gym or the football field, you need to know where that would be, where those are located. The policy should be posted and visible. This can be a copy in the athletic training kit. Sometimes these preceptors forget to do this, so if there's not one in your kit, ask that there be one made or copied and placed in your kit. And then the last one is you've checked all the therapeutic equipment at the venues in which you will accrue clinical experience hours and verify that the equipment has been safety and calibrated records and checked. So our policy is in your packet, probably the other way here. Read through this policy. You need to know what therapeutic equipment is. What's the definition? Basically, it's anything that's plugged in. An outside company needs to come in on an annual basis and check it for safety and/or calibration. So read all of this to make sure you understand what our policy is. And the service record for athletic training equipment maintenance should be posted on the bulletin board. So check it and make sure that that's up to date. And then that can be initialed by your preceptor. When you have that done, sign it, date it, give me the start date of your clinical experience. Then you will submit a picture of this document. So the document really is 2 pages. So I want a picture of this page and a picture of this page, and I want you to email it to me at this address. Do not text it to me, but email it to me as soon as you get it done. It is due next Wednesday at class time, but I would like it to be sent to me as soon as possible. Okay? So that's the clinical experience form. So we'll go back up here. So that's the student goal form right there. When that's done, that can be checked. Your preceptor should talk to you about, again, the schedule, what time you should leave, what time you should arrive. We talked about the emergency action plan already, what you need to know, the bloodborne pathogens, the therapeutic equipment policy. You may want to ask them about their policy on appearance as far as earrings, hair, tattoos, clothing, etc. We have a written policy for Bethel. That's in your policies and procedures manual, so be sure to read that if you don't know it already. and then junior orientation plan, which actually that was a cue to the seniors that these are the things that the seniors are expected to help you with if you have a senior at your rotation. So they should be helping give you an orientation to your facility, know what the expectations are. They can help you with the EAPs, the bloodborne pathogens, the emergency or the therapeutic equipment policy, appearance policy, and then also your first assignment, which is checkoffs, the skills checkoffs. So for this class, you have two groupings of checkoffs, and I'll talk about this in a minute in more detail. But the first thing we'll be doing is an overflow of the prevention and care taping, wrapping, and bracing skills videos. Those are due September 15th, I think is the date I put on those. After we get those completed, then you'll have what we call clinical experience skills, and I think there's 9 of them that you need to do this semester. And again, we'll go over those in detail here in a minute. Moving through your packet, just a reminder that ATS 3s, that's typically the junior levels, you'll be staying with your preceptors. So if we look on here, let's go down to Destin. So Destin is with Alyssa until September 30th. Then he'll go over and start working with Justin October 2nd. Well, we know that Justin's at football, so he'll be with Justin with football until November 25th. Now, football, if they finish up before November 25th, it doesn't matter. Destin will still stay with Justin Byers wherever he goes. So he might be in the athletic training room, or if he's doing some overlap with hockey or whatever, you're going to stay with your preceptor until this date. Now, the seniors are a little bit different. They stay with an assigned sport or a location, not particular preceptor. So Becca, she'll do volleyball, and she'll complete the volleyball season. When she gets done, she'll go over to Concordia and start working with women's basketball. All right, so there's a little difference on those. Hopefully you understand that. All right, there's a few standards that are established by Katie, our accrediting body, that you need to understand. The first one is Standard 57 that says that we have to delineate a maximum and minimum number of hours. The minimum number of clinical hours to accrue is 700 in the program, and the maximum is 1,000. That's what you can write up to 1,000 on your record sheet. You can't go over 1,000 to record on that. However, if you do more than 1,000 clinical hours, keep track of them because it looks great on a resume, and you can put those on a resume. So your athletic training education program limits you to 1,000 hours, but if you put in, let's say you put in 1,300 hours, you can put that on a resume, and potential employers or grad schools see that you did 300 more hours than what was even required of you, and that looks really good. Minimum of 1 day off every 7, so if you've been working every day for 7 days, you need to let your preceptor know they need to give you at least 1 day off. You can't receive a monetary gift during this educational experience. So if a bunch of the teammates or team players come up and say, hey, we want to give you $50 because you've been such a great student athletic trainer and we want you to keep up the good work, you can't take that. But if they give you a plate of cookies or some sort of gift like that, an actual gift, then you can accept that. That's fine. Standard 63, you need to be under direct supervision. So if your preceptor is not directly supervising you, please let me know. The rest we've talked about with the therapeutic equipment needs to be maintained. Bloodborne pathogen policies need to be available to you. Barriers and control measures need to be available. Sanitation stations. There needs to be a written emergency action plan. You need to review it. You need to have access to it. So if those standards are not being kept or they're missing at the place where you're at, I need to know immediately because they were in place when I last checked your clinic or your facility that you're at. But if they've changed, I need to make sure that those are put back in place. Okay, we went through the goals form, so I'm going to skip that. There's the preceptor guidelines. You will read those, and the equipment policy. All right, here's a reminder on your communicable disease policy that if you're sick, you should not attend your clinicals. So here's a list of communicable diseases that if you've been diagnosed, or you have a fever, or you of 100 or above, and or you think that you might be sick, then you should not go to your clinical experience. You should call your preceptor and tell them that you're sick at least 24 hours ahead of time and tell them that you won't be coming. So this form is in your packet. I need you to sign it, date it, saying that you understand this. I know you've signed one of these already, but this is to do it again and remind you that you're responsible for not spreading diseases and you're going to adhere to this policy. When you get it signed and dated, you can slide it under my office door as soon as possible. Non-disclosure statement. A reminder that you need to maintain confidentiality in regards to the people that you treat, whether that be in a clinic or at a high school or college. You cannot disclose what injuries are. So if your roommate comes up and says, hey, what happened to so-and-so at the game? Looks like they hurt their knee, what happened? And all you can say is they hurt their knee at the game. If the athlete wants to give them more information, that's fine, that's up to them, but you can't. So you're going to sign this, date it, and then have a witness signature and date it and slide that under my office door as well as soon as possible. This next one is a copy of the evaluation that your preceptors will be doing on you at the end of the 7 weeks. You'll see here that there's a midterm option. So if your preceptors wants to talk to you at midterm, so about 3.5 weeks into your clinical, they can choose to do so and then evaluate you. If not, that's fine too. They can wait and just do this evaluation at the final. If you read the instruction though, you will see that the student should first complete the evaluation by writing in a number as they rank themselves. So, student is punctual and ready to work when they arrive at clinical rotations. You will write in a number, always, almost always 5 or 4, sometimes 3, so put in the number that you rank yourself. Then you'll give it to your preceptor, and if they agree, they'll circle it. If they disagree, they'll put a slash next to it, and then they'll put in the number that they think you should have, or their opinion. They'll go ahead then down here and they'll give you a certain number of points based on your performance. These will play into your grade, so your preceptor, I believe if you look on the evaluation, has 20% of a say in your grade for this class. And then there's an opportunity for them to just write some comments. This is on Google Docs, so if your preceptor prefers to complete this on Google Docs rather than this hard copy form, that's fine. You should have access to it and they should as well. So I'll make sure that you have that opened up. Or you can bring in this hard copy, like I said, just rip it out of this packet and take it to them at the end, or midterm if they choose to do that. Clinical hours form, here's a blank one for you. However, this is also on Google's Docs if you choose to do this electronically, which I strongly encourage you to do. You should have the link to Google Docs through Moodle. Let's see if I can bring that up. Yeah. So here you click on clinical hours form, and it says that as you complete your clinical, you can maintain your log, use the clinical hour form. You can click on this link, right, and it will bring you into the form. And up here then you should do make a copy. Click on that and then put your name right here. So I would do Janet Johnson, clinical hours form, and then I'll probably want to store that in my own drive. Alright, select that. Okay. Janet Johnson Clinical Hours form. Then I want to come over and share this. So you will share it with me. Okay, and then you will share it with your preceptor. So let's say your preceptor is Justin. You share it with him. So you share it with myself and you share it with Justin, and then you push send. That way I can see it. You can record your hours on here electronically. We won't have a risk of losing it. Justin can sign it electronically. So I encourage you to do that. All right. I think that's the end of this packet. So I know this was a long video, but I wanted to make sure that you got all that information. Remember that goals form is due in 1 week. All right, thanks.